All right, we're going to get right into it. What if I told you a 12-year-old several years back blew the lid off this whole thing? Actually told you guys the truth, but nobody cared. The media hid it, and we all just ignored it. Well, it's true. And here's the 12-year-old right now explaining to you how they're not elected, but they're all selected.
It's a great thing for history.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, William Howard Taft, and President Barack Obama. One young girl traced them all back to one common ancestor.
They're all cousins and all grandsons of John Lackland.
It's the first family tree of its kind. Pouring through more than 500,000 names for months, 12-year-old Bridge Ann d'Avignon discovered that all the U.S. presidents, except Martin Van Buren, are related to the former King of England, John Lackland Plantagenet, signer of the Magna Carta in 1215.
Mildred Reed is his first great-grandmother on George Washington. And on Obama, Mildred Reed is the 10th great-grandmother.
It started as an assignment to research her own lineage. Started with George Washington, but unlike other professional genealogists that only looked at the male family lines, Bridge Ann was able to link the presidents together using both male and female ancestry. Before this, historians had only been able to link 22 family trees.
Holy smokes! Did you guys catch that? Every president has been related. So now this stuff starts to make sense, right? You're starting to understand, wow, maybe everything is just a setup. Maybe it's all just a scam. Maybe they are selected and not elected. OMG, right? Can you possibly believe that all the presidents in our whole history, okay, have been related? Do you see a problem with that? Do you even know the odds of that happening? Just think about that. The odds of that happening. All right? Even Barack Obama. Did you know Barack Obama's mom, you know, they're all part of the CIA and stuff, but she was actually drawing paychecks from USAID? Yeah, they broke that story out as well with the USAID scam. But here's Judge Joe Brown with a baby face, because I want to try to show you guys a little bit of perspective here. But here he is with a baby face talking about the Bush and Obama connection.
And the last one, number 44, and the one before that, 43, Bush and Obama. Well, there are pictures of Bush with his arm around 8-year-old Barack Obama because his stepdaddy, adopted daddy, Lolo Sotoro, had done a lifetime worth of business with the Bushes. Wow. Uncle George Herbert Walker, after whom George Herbert Walker Bush, Bush 1 president, was named, founded Halliburton in 1946 in Oklahoma. And Lolo Sotoro had been international executive vice president for Standard Oil.
There was talk of him being a CIA asset.
Well, yeah, see, he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army. On his own call, anyone could be assassinated. So when George Herbert Walker Bush became head of the CIA under the Ford administration, he just got with his old buddy in the oil business, Lolo Sotoro, and pulled off the hits. See, Barack's grandmother has been acknowledged as being the woman that operated the channels through which CIA money went to the Southwest Pacific. So she introduced her daughter, who had just had Barry, Barack, to Lolo Sotoro, and they got married, and Lolo Sotoro adopted Barack Obama. The name was changed to Barry Sotoro. Now, when he went to high school in Hawaii, I know about that high school. I almost sent my oldest son to it. I could afford it, but I didn't think he deserved it. 20 years ago, the tuition was $95,000 a year, not including room and board. When Obama went there, I've talked to 2 of his classmates. They independently state that the tuition, not including room and board, was $45,000. Now, Business Insider reports his income for 2017 at over $200 million net. That's after taxes, deductions, write-offs. For this last year, 2018, they reported it as $570+ million. And that's after all deductions, tax, right? Trump doesn't make that net. I mean, even some of the richest people in America don't make that. Why? Because when his stepdaddy died, he was one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. And he left everything in a trust fund operated out of Indonesia, so the American government can't touch it. That makes Barack Obama 1/3 beneficiary for the assets of one of the 10, 15 richest men on earth. See, so we got a game run on us. So, you know that little thing that Bush W does when he gets with Michelle, they giggle and he gives her candy. The inside thing is that's supposed to be the same kind of candy he used to give to her husband when he was 6, 7, 8 years old.
It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
Did you guys see how young he was in that clip? All right, I'm going to show you guys another clip right now of him much older, okay, talking about Barack Obama and Bush Sr. and how they are all connected.
This is his adopted father who adopted him when he was about 2 years old. Now, he is an interesting person. He also was a major in the Indonesian army from 58 to 1962 or 3, and he ran the death squad. So there was allegedly a warrant out for him from The Hague for mass murdering or being responsible for killing 500,000 people back in the late 50s when he ran the death squads. We studied this in comparative international law back in the late 60s. I remember that guy. I had no idea he was connected. But anyway, as vice president for Standard Oil, at the time in question, it was believed that Indonesia sat on the world's largest oil reserves. So Standard Oil wanted to get into that, but they couldn't under American law, so they propped up their vice president financially. He ran the death squads, had a lot of muscle, so he wound up becoming the oil tycoon for Indonesia. And when he died, he was one of the richest men on earth. Now, he supposedly died from the cumulative effects of 3 separate automobile accidents, which basically came from the fact he was a master spy. The U.S. protected him because at the time he was running the spy operations for the CIA as a contractor in China, North Korea, North Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. And remember the NAMs going on at this point in time. George Herbert Walker Bush ran the CIA under the Ford administration, and George Herbert Walker Bush was cousin to his wife, Obama's mother, and Obama's mother's father, Obama's maternal grandmother, was first cousin to George Herbert Walker Bush. So the family relationship in there, they all had fun and games from Bush's experience with his CIA connections when he ran the CIA, and Lolo Soetoro, and also through his second cousin who was married to him, and also through the father-in-law to Soetoro who was his first cousin. So it's an interesting little filial family relationship that they have.
So basically, right, Judge, they're all connected. So no matter what, these guys are, they run the show and they're all connected.
You see this thing where Michelle and George W. get to giggling and he gets the candy? What I hear from the inside sources is that's the same candy that he used to give to her husband when he was a kid. Now, there's a picture I stumbled onto that you could Google, but you can't now. And when I ran into it, he was still in Illinois in the state house. And what that was about was there's a picture where Lolo Soetoro is standing up with a golf club. George W. Bush, Herbert Walker Bush, soon to be president of the United States, is standing up with a golf club. and then sitting in a golf cart with his arm around a 7 or 8 year old kid standing next to it is George W. Bush, and the kid is Lolo Soetoro's adopted kid, Barry Soetoro, soon to be Barack Obama.
Wow.
So are you saying that Obama met the Bushes when he was a kid?
Yeah, they grew up together. They used to hang around.
Now I'm going to show you the clip. Do you guys remember a couple months ago, right? Jimmy Carter passed away. Bush was already in the auditorium where they were doing the thing. And then in comes Obama, right? And Obama walks past him. You thought they were arch enemies your whole life. You thought they hated each other. Okay? Now you know a little inside stuff. But that was the whole premise of it all, right? That they hated each other. It was Republican versus Democrat. Man, they must be really laughing up there at the White House at us. How they got us all jazzed up and they're back there drinking buddies and everything. But here is when Obama walks in and Bush sees him. First, look at the look on Bush's face. That is not the look. That is not the look of a person who dislikes the person. Okay, not the look. And also, Barack says to him, "How can we stop this?" So I just laid out to you guys, I think it's pretty clear, okay, that there's a scam going on, right? And they want us to believe that it's Republican versus Democrat, but it's not. This is all a funnel to get us to go in one direction, okay? And you guys we're not going to like the direction. We're not going to like the end game here. So we have to all realize that we're being funneled, okay, into the NWO, which is going to be 24-hour surveillance, 15-minute cities, digital currency, and monitoring every single thing you do after they succeed with the largest population reduction, probably in human history. But seriously, leave a comment down below in the comment section if you knew any of this stuff, right? Any of this stuff. Did you ever even see that 12-year-old's newscast? Because you would think that if a 12-year-old spent all that time researching the presidents and their past and then drew the conclusion that every single president was actually related. That's today's fun facts for you guys. Share this video with your friends. Stay vigilant. Stay up on your preps. Don't be complacent. Trump's not going to save you. J.D. Vance just went to India on the 25th of last month. Okay? Now all of a sudden India is bombing Pakistan. Think about that for a second. Palantir. Have you ever looked up that word, Palantir? We'll see you guys on the next video. Seriously, man, stay on top of your preps, you guys. I mean, if you don't get anything out of the videos, at least get that. Just stay up on your preps. I have this thing, I think we're going all in with the reset, which is going to cause a lot of uncomfortable moments in your life, okay? So try to be ready for that. And we'll see you guys at the Homesteading Life Conference so we can teach you the life skills that you're going to need to know to survive the coming show. Okay? All right. Whew. Leave a comment. Did you guys know about that?